until you reach the point where the pornography only goes so far. You reach that jumping off point where you begin to wonder if maybe actually doing it will give you that which is beyond just reading about it or looking at it.
Hello, and welcome back to Intended Clips. Today, we embark on a challenging but essential journey into the chilling and complex life of one of history's most infamous serial killers, Ted Bundy. Our goal in discussing this sensitive topic is to shed light on the facts, delve deep into the psychological aspects of his actions, and investigate the broader societal implications of his crimes, all while maintaining a profound respect for the victims and their families. Ted Bundy's early life. Theodore Bundy, later known as Ted Bundy, was born on November 24, 1946, in Burlington, Vermont, to Eleanor Louise Cowell, who was not married at the time. His early years were marked by various challenges and mysteries. Bundy's mother, Louise, initially raised him as her younger brother's child to avoid the stigma of being an unwed mother. Young Ted grew up believing that his grandparents were his parents and his mother was his sister. Ted Bundy's relationship with his family, particularly his grandfather, Samuel Cowell, played a significant role in his upbringing. Samuel Cowell was known for his short temper and aggressive behavior. Some experts have suggested that Bundy may have witnessed abusive behavior in his early years, which could have influenced his later actions. However, it's important to note that the exact details of his early family life remain a subject of debate. As Ted Bundy entered school, he appeared to be a bright and well-adjusted child. He was a good student and developed an interest in skiing and politics. However, there were indications of certain unusual behaviors, such as his fascination with knives and a troubling incident where he was said to have exposed himself to young girls. Before going on his murderous spree, Ted Bundy had had experience on the other side of the law. From shoplifting and burglary to car theft and assault, Ted Bundy was no stranger to the life of crime. Between 1974 and 1975, Ted Bundy embarked on a gruesome killing spree that claimed the lives of numerous young women. His modus operandi was disturbingly calculated, often involving the feigning of injuries or the use of his charismatic charm to lure victims into his car. Bundy's killing spree began in Washington state in 1974. He targeted young women in the Seattle area, including Linda Ann Healy, Donna Gail Manson, Susan Elaine Rancourt, and others. Bundy would approach his victims in public places, often feigning injuries or impersonating an authority figure to gain their trust. Once lured into his car, he would incapacitate and eventually murder them. The specific locations where Bundy killed these women varied, but they were typically isolated areas near wooded or remote places. Bundy's killing spree continued in Oregon, where he abducted and murdered several young women, including Roberta Parks and Brenda Ball. Bundy continued using his charm and deception to lure victims. He sometimes used handcuffs and restraints to control and subdue them. Locations. The bodies of some of his victims were found in rural areas around Oregon. Bundy then relocated to Utah in 1974, where he continued his murder spree. He targeted women such as Nancy Wilcox, Melissa Smith, and Carol DeRonch. Bundy refined his techniques during this period, often wearing disguises and using different names. He would overpower his victims, sometimes using a crowbar or other blunt objects. Bundy's murders in Utah occurred in various locations, including mountainous regions and near bodies of water. After a while, Bundy then moved to his fourth location, Colorado, where victims such as Karen Campbell and Julie Cunningham and others saw their life end to Ted Bundy's merciless actions. Bundy's methods here remained consistent. He would approach young women, offer assistance, and then subdue them. He also often engaged in necrophilia with the corpses of his victims. Bundy's final known victim, 12-year-old Kimberly Leach, was abducted and murdered in Lake City, Florida in 1978. Bundy kidnapped Leach from her school and later murdered her. Her remains were found in a remote area. While this crime occurred in Florida, Bundy was ultimately apprehended in Idaho after a series of events that followed Leach's murder. Bundy's conviction. After years of eluding the authorities, Ted Bundy's reign of terror finally came crashing down. On August 16, 1975, Bundy was pulled over by the police in Utah for a suspected stolen vehicle. Inside his car, officers discovered burglary tools, suspicious items, and even maps marked with the locations of his victims. Bundy's arrest marked a turning point in the investigation. Bundy's arrest led to a high-profile trial that captivated the nation. He faced a litany of charges, including murder, kidnapping, and burglary. One of the most infamous moments during the trial was Bundy's decision to act as his own attorney, a move that allowed him to cross-examine witnesses, including survivors. The prosecution presented a mountain of evidence against Bundy, including eyewitness testimonies, forensic evidence, and his own confessions. Perhaps one of the most compelling pieces of evidence was Bundy's dental records, which matched bite marks on some of the victims. Bundy's dental impressions were compared to these bite marks, leading to a positive match. This provided direct physical evidence linking him to the crimes. Forensic experts also examined hair and fiber evidence found at crime scenes and on Bundy's clothing. Matching hair samples and fibers from his car to those found on the victims provided additional incriminating evidence. While not strictly forensic evidence either, Bundy's confessions during his time on death row further corroborated the forensic findings. He provided chilling details about his crimes, including the locations and methods used. Bundy did, however, attempt to appeal the charges given to him, leading to years of legal wrangling. Despite this, Bundy eventually exhausted his appeals, and his execution date was set for January 24, 1989. On that fateful day, he was put to death in the electric chair at Florida State Prison. Bundy's death marked the end of one of the darkest chapters in American criminal history. The conviction and ultimate execution of Ted Bundy remains a haunting chapter in the annals of criminal justice. It serves as a somber reminder of the capacity for evil within individuals and the importance of relentless law enforcement efforts to bring perpetrators to justice. Thank you for joining us as we explored the conviction of Ted Bundy. If you found this video informative, please like, subscribe, and share.